So I've attempted to make this video twice before, but my battery ran out and I received a notification and I tried to flick it away and the whole thing just went off. But let me sit down. Yeah, I've been journaling more recently, and I'm still not that great right now with journaling. It's a skill that I'm working towards, like just doing at least half a page a day, going back into my past and asking myself questions, because I never really asked myself questions in the past. I'd just be writing down like a conscious stream of thoughts, ranting, and of course it did improve my focus for the next day, but I never really improved it on anything because I didn't zone in on this specific area which I wanted to improve, and everything just seemed so blurry for me. So I've been journaling, I've been asking myself questions, and in my waking life I've just been asking myself questions and about the past, like when did I first feel depressed? When did I first start to doubt my self-worth? What made me doubt my self-worth? And I uploaded a video recently and then I privatized it. Now it's still up here now because I've unprivatized it, whatever. And the video is called Why I Dropped Out of My Engineering Degree, and I haven't dropped out. I'm just sort of I'm just leaving it now because I just don't see any point in, because it's related to the slow lane. I picked up the book The Millionaire Fast Lane. I just realised I was going down the slow lane, and I became very angry at how stressed it was making me feel, and it brought up all these memories from the past about being in the education system. And I discussed in another video called Trauma, which I think I deleted. I discussed in that video how I really did not like being inside of the education system, and that I used to dread studying, and some of the memories, like even though I couldn't experience them again, like I wasn't consciously thinking about them, I was still feeling a bit unsure of myself whenever I would study, whenever I'd sit down to study, and I was held back by my own insecurities that I'm not intelligent enough. And because I'm not intelligent enough, because I can't achieve the grades that would be considered to be acceptable in this society, that I kind of just tried to numb myself really from that reality. And I had to have coping methods, I had to have coping mechanisms, I had to have video games and porn and junk food, or else I probably wouldn't have gone through high school. You know, I had to, as a man with masculine energy, with testosterone, I had to do something to just numb myself so that I couldn't feel the testosterone, and I hated other men. So I took that hatred of men who were achieving men like Hamza and First Man, because I was taught not to be like that, and I just sort of went inward and numbed myself. I just don't want to go back into that way of life. Like if I study a degree online, outside of Udemy and Coursera, like if I actually went to study a degree, I think what I'd do is it I definitely make sure that I have the money there, and I'm already set up, I'm already successful. Once that's happened, I'm a part of the fast lane. I only have to work 4 hours a week. Then I'd consider studying something that I'm interested in, which would be some sort of artistic or creative endeavor. But like other than that, I don't consider myself to be academically inclined. I just like to accumulate knowledge, and it's completely different. It's completely different because you accumulate the knowledge inside of the education system, inside of a specific context, inside of like a set of instructions, a course material, and you're not really meant to question the material. I mean, sure, you could add your own analyses, but my analysis for like history essays were usually just like too vague, and maybe I've made connections outside of the course material, and I was punished for that by repeatedly getting low grades and low marks, um, and I think that, of course, I'd be wrong because I'm more of a creative person, and Peterson said that just because you're creative doesn't mean that you're right. So I'd be wrong, but in real life, like if it's with someone now, it would open up a very fascinating discussion of like I started questioning these things about politics and history and science, and you know but it's just not so. And I just don't believe in being given a set of instructions and being told like what to think really, when none of this is relevant in your life. And even though these conversations aren't relevant, they're pretty interesting. You can make another person feel important with the information that they have, and um, you just can't really do that. And if you don't apply the knowledge, like if it's not something that you can apply to your own life to better yourself, then why are you even there? Why are you even there in the first place? And I realised when I was connecting my trauma to the education system that my trauma is connected to certain individuals, to teachers, as well as the whole grading system. The grading system, it just didn't work for me. Um, I think examiners get like this sadistic pleasure out of marking people down as like failing. Um, but with the teachers, like I had teachers in high school. I didn't so much have them in college, but like in high school, because when you're at college age, you're like, and here it's over in America, it's high school. It's just like an extension, but um, yeah, at college age, at like 18, 16 to 18, you get a bit more respect from teachers, and you don't really have problems with bullying. And I've never, I think I've been bullied, but I can't really remember. Maybe my brain just blocked it out because I was very sheltered as a child. I was very sheltered from bullying. I was sheltered from going outside because my parents feared that I'd be bullied, and I can't blame them for the paranoias. And I did live in a very rough area, uh, but like the worst bullies really are like I mean, they're pretty young. They're sort of like late 20s, early 30s, maybe mid 30s. Maybe you can get them a bit older, but they're like these teachers. They're usually female. They go into that position just as like to assert their dominance, and maybe they've had bad upbringings in the past and they've been pushed to overachieve. They could be like, um, hang on, maybe they're dealing with some stuff that Nicole LaPara talks about in her book, Do the Work. Maybe they just had problems growing up, and they're giving like the children, that they're giving the workers of tomorrow, they're basically giving them their problems, their insecurities. And I feel as though that sort of happened to me from reading that book. As I experienced it from two teachers in particular, because I was behind in school and they're like considering all sorts of diagnoses for me. I was put into special lessons. I was in like a little group called the Rainbow Club, and I just felt like it just felt so dehumanizing being put in the Rainbow Club, being 11 years old and doing the work of like a 6-year-old, and being behind in maths and everything. And maybe if this would never have happened, it wouldn't have fueled my drive to be an entrepreneur. Maybe it's a good thing, really. Maybe I deserve to suffer. But this is it's really caused low self-esteem and image issues and symptoms of depression, which I'm still battling to this day. Because it really does ruin your self-image when you've been put into the little kiddies classes, you know. You're like 16 and you still have people following you to the toilet. And this is what happened in my case. They were still following me to the toilet. I had to be monitored everywhere I went. Like, there were teachers following me, and the boss of them was like very, very egotistical. She went on like these power trips, and I remember that every day or every other day I'd be pulled, and I cried earlier over this, because I'd be pulled into like her office. There'd be another teacher there. It's weird how like when I entered college, when I entered the later years, the senior years of high school, how they started, the behaviour started changing, and they started really sucking up to me. And I experienced the same thing in primary with middle school with my teacher there, who used to shout at the class. She sent me to get diagnosed with autism, even though like I don't have autism, quite frankly. I mean, I had to deal with it. I was pulled into the office, stood shouting at me. A couple of times I spoke back. I was threatened with exclusion. But I just didn't know what to do, because it was happening so frequently, where I'd be getting into trouble basically just for speaking my mind, because I acted a bit too masculine. Towards the end of high school, like just before my senior years, I was so sick of the system. I felt so pessimistic and nihilistic that I would speak back, and I was really like talked down to like a little child. And being threatened with exclusion, being made to feel like a bad person, even when like I'm not, even when I've done nothing wrong really, and I'm just constantly, I was just fearing the next time I'd be shouted at, the next time a teacher would raise the voice, and they'd say, "Oh, we're not shouting at you, we're raising our voices." And then I'd ask them about that. "Oh, well, no, we're not raising our voices, we're just telling this or that," when clearly they were shouting. And I had to deal with this day in, day out. And I couldn't really express any emotion, any feeling. I just had to go along with the whole thing. if someone said that I did this or I did that, I get into trouble. And there were people there, and I suppose this is bullying, but it was just like the kids at the top, the kids at the top of the class. And they're going to get their just desserts. I mean, maybe they're going to Cambridge or Oxford now, but they're going to be tied down in a job that they don't like. And those kids, at the top, would just point out to me, and I was at the bottom. I was like underweight, scrawny, I had scruffy hair and everything. I was a late bloomer, like I'm 5'9" now. Back then I was 5'4". And, I was just the one who was, like, pointed out. I was pointed out all the time. It was always me, stinking up the classroom because I rarely bath, shower. I just didn't take care of myself. I thought, why should I care? No one else cares about me anyway. I have no friends. And that's why porn and video games were so prevalent in my life. They were a coping mechanism. I used them to numb myself to the reality of what was going on around me, because I just didn't want to feel as though I was unworthy of being loved. And all my confidence, low self-esteem issues, even now, like, I still think, my thinking is still influenced by the past, and it's to do with the education system. And no, I'm not going to be an engineer. I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm not even going to be, even though it's right down my alley, I'm not going to be a computer scientist, because I just don't think that the juice is worth the squeeze going through like the whole process again. Just the grading process alone, like online. The grading process alone is enough to deter me from that sort of way of life, feeling those sorts of things and thoughts. And it's something that I've got to work on within myself to feel comfortable with myself, the way that I am, and to love myself, because that's something I was never taught in the education system. In fact, I was taught the opposite. I was taught to just neglect my health for the sake of studying, and I'd try and study. All these feelings would creep up upon me, and I just felt that I couldn't stay, and I couldn't tell anyone this. I think that a couple of times, like in the later years, I know there were some really patronising people in my later years, and like really false as well. Like a lot of these teachers were just false, and yeah, so what they did was, they asked me about my, like, mental health, well-being, whatever. And, they could sense that I was depressed or trying to get me diagnosed. They're like, oh, maybe you should go see a GP, go on antidepressants. Like, antidepressants would be the answer. Just, the answer is numbing your feelings. The answer is numbing your feelings so that you can go along with authority, and it's just not the best way to live. I fucking hate that idea. I placed a massive emphasis on the way that I looked, the way that I appeared in the education system in my school. I wanted to appear to be quirky, zany, funny, and especially in my senior years, and I became a bit of no other bullies, as I said, well, other than like the stereotypes, but I became a bit of a bully myself, because I just thought, well, I need to fit in somehow. I need to find a place where I belong. And I think a lot of bullies, they're not really bullies, they just feel the same way. They just feel as though, they're underachievers. They feel as though they just want somewhere to belong, really. and for people to listen to it. And they have like masculine energy as well, and they just want like this energy to go outward. You know, because I was sick of keeping the energy inward. I got into NoFap. I went to the gym inconsistently. I didn't stick to it. I didn't make it habit. And I started talking to girls. I learned game. I started flirting with them. I didn't bad any women, but I'd nag them. I think that I was like so cool just by going around insulting people. I dismissed the whole concept of how to win friends and influence people. I just like read a few pages and my ego was so high there. I was like, no, that isn't for me. Now I realised the importance of social relationships, like good relationships, and you couldn't have them in that school. In the education system, it's hard to meet people who you really can connect with because you're all just following a social narrative. You're all there, not out of passion, not out of interest, not because you share the same beliefs and the same values. It's because you're just there to impress your parents. You're just there to impress other people. And if you resonate with this video, I'd say to just drop out. Because I said that in my other video, I repeat it, just drop out. Because it's not for you. I mean, high school, yeah, see it through. Don't go to college. Don't waste your time. Just don't waste your time. If you're an entrepreneur like me, if you've got business ideas, you've got plans, you want to go into SEO and marketing, or you want to go into Bitcoin, or you want to go into like copywriting, Bitcoin copywriting, become a Bitcoin expert or whatever, just don't bother. Because the juice really isn't worth the squeeze. And there are much faster ways to generate income. You're just not going to be able to do it if you're stressed. It's going to hold you back. Because I was trying to start my business whilst taking a degree in engineering, and it just didn't work, It just didn't work. And it's not going to work. Focus on the one thing, really. Just the one thing, the most important thing, like whether that's Bitcoin, whether that's learning code, learning JavaScript. Don't be like me, because at the moment, like, I'm starting my own business. I'm kind of in a position where I'm learning multiple different things. I have these courses on Udemy and I'm switching between them, like TV shows. Maybe that's going to slow me down a bit, I don't know. I'm on a dopamine detox. So, yeah.